Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't heard already, I am pregnant. I'm sure you've already noticed that. So I'm 25 weeks pregnant and we're expecting our baby girl, Juniper Lee, this June. And we are so excited. We have just had kind of a crazy pregnancy story. My actual pregnancy has not been crazy at all, but just the story behind like how we found out we were pregnant is a little wild. And so I just wanted to sit down and film a video about it. I really want to document all of this and remember all the details, everything that we are feeling and experiencing right now, because I know this is just a once in a lifetime experience we are going through, like having a baby for the first time, being pregnant for the first time, and I really just want to remember it all. I also just really want to share our story with friends and family and anyone else. I'm kind of an open book and I don't really mind like sharing a little bit more personal things with people. I think that our stories can help people through what they're going through. Other people's pregnancy stories, or maybe like non-traditional pregnancy stories, have definitely helped me process everything that I've been going through. If I can do that for someone else, then it's worth it, you know? Here we go. So like I said, I am 25 weeks pregnant. We are due on June 21st. I guess I'll just start with a little bit of backstory so you can know what me and William were feeling about having kids, like when we wanted to have kids. First of all, William and I have been married for a year and like 4 months, I think. I have to count. We got married in November of 2019. Had always thought that we probably didn't want kids until a little bit later. I always expected to wait at least like 5 years, honestly, before having kids. We both knew that we wanted kids someday, just didn't really think we wanted them super soon. And ever since we've been married, we just have felt like we weren't ready. We were not in that headspace. We really wanted to like travel a lot. We thought like we'd want to buy a house first, maybe like live in another city for a little while. So I'm not really planning on having kids super soon. Because of that, I started taking birth control a little bit before we got married. I started in September of 2019 before we got married in November. Birth control was great that I was on. I had no problems with it. I felt great on it. A lot of women, just to give you some information, sorry if it's too much, but a lot of women do stop having like a regular cycle on birth control, which is totally normal according to my doctor. So that was me. So I was not having like a regular cycle on birth control. So in my mind, there was no way that I could get pregnant. So that's just what you guys need to know was in my head. Now it's time to fast forward our story a little bit. January of this year. So January 2021, I start noticing that I am getting really bloated. I started noticing just that like my jeans were fitting really tight. I was just like really bloated around my belly. I was like, that's so funny. Like, I guess I just, ate a lot around the holidays. Like, I had not really been exercising or anything like that. And so I just figured like it was normal, even though it wasn't super normal for me. So I started doing all these different things to kind of get rid of my bloating. I literally like upgraded my gym membership. I was going to the gym almost every day, doing like a lot of cardio. I started drinking a lot of lemon water. I was drinking like kombucha, taking like a probiotic, all these sorts of things. And it just really seemed like nothing was helping. I was like, man, this is like so weird. But that's like literally the only thing that was happening to me, was just that my belly was getting really bloated, is like what I kept saying. And so I'm doing all these things, like nothing is really working. And it's kind of in the back of my mind. A couple of times I thought like, oh my gosh, what if I'm pregnant? I was like, no, like there's no way I'm pregnant. Like I'm taking my birth control. It's not possible. And also if I was pregnant, I would know, right? Like that's what I thought. I thought I would have this like gut feeling, like I would know that I was pregnant. Thought I would have other side effects, like how I mean, literally almost everyone has some type of like morning sickness or food aversion or something like that. I wasn't feeling like super tired or anything, and so I was like, surely if I was pregnant, I would have another side effect. Also, I don't even think I can get pregnant right now. I kind of thought that a couple of times, but I just kept blowing it off. I was like, no, like there's no way. Time goes on, my bloating is not going away. I also noticed that my boobs were getting a little bit bigger. Okay, like that's kind of weird. If I'm gaining weight, it's just kind of interesting that like these are the only areas I'm really gaining weight in. I'm also working out all the time and eating really good, so it's not really making sense. I start thinking and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take a pregnancy test. I'm just gonna take one to rule it out. I know like there's no way I'm pregnant, like it's probably not possible at all, but just to rule it out so I can really get to the bottom of what's going on with me, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test. So I bought a pregnancy test towards the end of January, had it for at least a week. It was literally like in the trunk of my car. I kept thinking about it off and on, and I was like, I really should take that, but also like it's just a waste of a pregnancy test. Fast forward to the first week of February, we were planning to go to the beach for my birthday. Leading up to that, I was like, you know what, I really need to take this pregnancy test because I want to go to the beach, like just peace of mind knowing that like I'm not pregnant. Granted, I'm thinking like there's literally no way that I'm pregnant. On February 2nd, Groundhog Day, I will literally never forget it as long as I live, at like midnight. It was so late. Me and William were just hanging out and I was like, I'm gonna take that pregnancy test. And he was like, okay, like, do you want me to go with you to take it? And I was like, no. I was like, I'll just get you and like we can look at the results together. So I opened up the pregnancy test and I've never even taken one before. And so I was like reading the instructions. I was like, how do I do this? And so I thought about like taking a video of myself taking it, but I literally thought there was no way it was going to be positive. So I take the pregnancy test and you're supposed to let it sit for, you know, like 1 to 3 minutes so that your result shows up super clear. I take it and look at it immediately. It is the brightest plus sign. I had the clear blue one where it's either plus or minus. The brightest plus sign you have ever seen in your life. I was shocked. I literally just stared at it and that's all I could do. I was just staring at it and I was like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? And so William was like right next to me and he was like, what, like what is it? And I think he was just immediately really worried about me because of how my reaction was. I just like wasn't saying anything. I was like bent over looking at this thing on the counter and I like start shaking because I like cannot believe like what is going on. And so I'm like shaking and he's like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? What is it? And so I'm like looking at the thing and I pull up like the little instructions where it has the chart, you know, that says plus, pregnant, minus, not pregnant. And I'm like looking at it and I like look at him and I'm like, okay, like it says on here, I was like, that means pregnant, this means not pregnant, and this is what ours looks like. I looked at him and he looked at me and we were like, oh my gosh. So he was like, let's take another one, like maybe it's wrong. So we take the other one and sure enough, I mean that thing was bright positive, so positive instantaneously. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? First reactions were definitely pure shock. I mean, we were not even in that frame of mind at all. I'm literally just like not even thinking it was possible. I was so shocked, so shocked. We just sat for a minute and we're like, oh my gosh. Still just like not feeling real at all. Okay, I'm gonna, you know, make a doctor's appointment, get it confirmed at the doctor, and then we'll go from there. So the next morning I call and make an appointment. Luckily the doctor could fit me in like that day. So I went and sure enough, they came in and were like, yep, like you're pregnant, you're having a baby. And I was just still like so shocked. And so at the doctor's office, they're trying to figure out how far along I am. Normally they base how far along you are based on your last cycle, which I could not give them even a date of my last cycle because I hadn't had one in so long because I was on birth control. So at this point we have no clue how far along I am. I just know that I'm pregnant and I'm pregnant enough to be showing because I've been bloated for at least a month. Bloated, which was not even bloating, it was literally a baby bump. I have no clue at this point how far along I am. And at the doctor's office, they don't want to do an ultrasound unless they know for a fact that you're over at least 6 weeks pregnant, because you can't really see anything if you're 6 weeks or under, and they don't want to like waste an ultrasound. And so they told me that, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm further along than that, just based on the fact that I'm literally showing. But they were like, no, like come back in 2 weeks. So I leave the doctor's office, begin to process that I am pregnant, that we are having a baby, that I have a baby inside me, that I've had one inside me for who knows how long. So those are my first reactions. Definitely not how most people find out they're pregnant. I was so shocked. It was just like the craziest moment of my whole life. I don't think I'll ever be more surprised. I did feel a little bit of guilt just because like you see people's reactions when they find out they're pregnant, and most people that share their reactions are, you know, just so happy and crying tears of joy. And it is like, it's so happy, but we were just so shocked and not in that frame of mind at all, that just wasn't our reaction. And I felt really bad about it and guilty for a while for not just immediately feeling like so overjoyed. But I just think that's really normal. It's a lot to process, like the fact that you are having a baby, especially when you're not really expecting it or think it's possible. It's just a lot to process. And so I think whatever you feel is what you feel, and that's valid and it's okay. I think that's really important to say if anyone else has had a reaction like that. It's totally normal. And my first reaction was definitely just shock and like, what am I gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? We were not even thinking about this at all. Fast forward a couple of weeks. I had to wait 2 weeks for my second doctor's appointment. It snowed a lot here in Nashville, so my appointment was canceled and moved to the next week. So it had been 3 weeks since I found out that I was pregnant, that we went to the doctor and we had an ultrasound scheduled. We were just like taking guesses on how far along I was. Here's what we know. We know that I'm showing, so I have to be kind of far along. I had felt some movement for sure, but I mean, I've never been pregnant before, so I don't know if it's like the baby kicking or just is my belly gurgly, like I don't know. My mom's first guess, just like looking at me, literally the night I told her I was pregnant, tell me honestly, like how far along do you think I am? And she looked at me and she was like, I think like 16 weeks. And I was like, what? I like got mad at her. I was like, are you serious? Like there's no way I'm that far along. And she was like, no, maybe you're not, maybe you're not. Like, I don't know, that's just like, that would be my guess. And so we're just kind of taking guesses. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like 12 weeks. That was my best guess. And everyone was kind of like, that we had told that we were pregnant. We're like, yeah, you're probably like, you know, 12 to 15 weeks. Like there's no way you're further along than that. Like you would have known, you know? You would know if you would have been pregnant for that long. And I was like, yeah, totally. And we go in for the ultrasound. The lady was like asking me, first of all, she was like, okay, you know, like how far along are you? And I'm like, I have no idea. And she was like, well, how far do you think you are? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 12 weeks. I have no idea. And she was like, okay, because it's my first ultrasound I've had. So obviously most people are not very far along at their first ultrasound. So she starts moving the thing around my belly, and just immediately she was like, this is a big baby. Me and William just looked at each other and I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, okay. She's like, let me email the front desk really quick. I'm gonna tell them it's gonna be a little bit longer than I thought. And so she's moving around. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna start taking some measurements. And so she measures the baby's head, and it was just the craziest thing. Like as soon as she started, you know, they have the screen in front of you so you can see what she sees. Just to see this baby on the screen, I was like there's a baby inside of me. It's just so crazy, like seeing that for the first time, and just we were still so shocked. And so she's taking measurements and she measures the baby's head first. She was like, okay. She was like, well, this is measuring at a 22-week-old head. 22 weeks? What? And we just looked at each other and like laughed. We were like, what the heck, I'm 22 weeks pregnant? She was like, yeah, it looks like, she took a couple more measurements and she was like, yep, you're measuring at about 23 weeks. Like, do you want to find out the gender today? And we were like, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, I was expecting to be, you know, like 12 weeks. There's no way we're further along than that, let alone like we were not ready to decide if we were going to find out the gender or not. So we just looked at each other and we were like, sure, like why not, you know? And so she starts taking more and more measurements, and we're just like watching the screen the whole time, seeing this baby inside of me that I literally found out was there 3 weeks prior. And this lady is telling me that I'm 23 weeks pregnant, and it's just crazy. I don't know, it really does change everything, like seeing the baby for the first time and like realizing like there's a whole baby inside of me. She was like, well, here we go, like here's, you know, one leg and here's the other leg, and she was like, it's looking like it's a girl. And we just looked at each other and I was so excited. We were both so excited. Hey buddy, wanna go out? But ever since the first moment when we found out we were pregnant, I just imagined myself having a girl, but I didn't know if, you know, that's like what most girls imagine themselves, like having girls. Hi. Are you having a sister? Are you getting a baby girl sister? I always imagined myself having a girl, even before we found out we were pregnant. Just when she told me it was a girl, I was so excited. Just seeing her move around, knowing that she was a girl, we just immediately like started feeling so connected to her. And I feel like my moment was we were just watching the ultrasound screen while the lady was taking measurements, and I literally watched her little leg like pull back and kick me, and of course I felt it, and I was like, that's what I've been feeling. Like, I've been feeling this for weeks now and just didn't know, you know, like what it was. I have a baby inside me, like rolling around and kicking me, and she's a girl, and it was just really exciting. The weeks prior were full of shock and just processing and not really knowing what was going on, and just after the ultrasound we're able to feel just so much more connected to her. It was just really sweet, but definitely still shocking the fact that I was 23 weeks pregnant. We came out of the appointment and we were just like, I mean honestly just like laughing. We were like, what the heck, like we've known we were pregnant for 3 weeks and we're 23 weeks pregnant. Like, I found out I was pregnant at 20 weeks. 20 weeks. It's just a lot to process. Really exciting. Now, ever since then, we have told all of our friends and family. We've announced it to the world. We've announced that we're having a girl, and her name is Juniper Lee Kaufman, and we are just so excited. Cannot believe our lives that we're having a baby. We're having a baby kind of soon. It's just the craziest thing, honestly, ever. And still just like so crazy. Like, I found out I was pregnant on February 2nd, and now it's just been like a month since I've known. I'm like, my whole entire life has changed in a month. That's our story of how we found out we were pregnant. So I have had a lot of people ask me, like, how did you not know you were pregnant for 20 weeks? Like, were you not sick? Did you not have any symptoms? And honestly, no. I'm just the luckiest pregnant girl ever, I guess. My mom had a really easy pregnancy with me, so I was like, maybe that's why mine's been so easy. Literally no morning sickness. I've not been nauseous once. I have no weird food things or taste things. Everything tastes the same to me. I haven't really craved anything. I feel great. Honestly, I feel like I feel better than I did when I wasn't pregnant. I'm not super tired. I do like get out of breath a little bit. No, like literally no symptoms. I feel so good. My back hurts like every now and then. My legs feel a little tired sometimes, but that's it. I had definitely had no symptoms leading up to when I found out I was pregnant. It is just so sweet, and we're so excited. It's still a lot to process. It's just a lot to process anyways when you find out you're having a baby, let alone when you're further along than you thought you were and you don't really have much time left. It's just kind of a lot to process in a short amount of time. So I've tried to have a lot of grace with myself and not feel super guilty when I get overwhelmed, because I've definitely been very overwhelmed. Like, with just all that needs to be done for a baby. So I've been trying to just give myself a break. It's perfectly normal to be overwhelmed. So I definitely have had my days, but overall we're just so excited and it's so sweet. I've never really been honestly a big like baby person or kid person. I've not grown up around a lot of babies or kids or anything, and so I always worried that like when I had kids of my own one day I would just not know what to do or have trouble connecting with them or something. But it's definitely different when it's your own baby. Like, it's just so crazy. I never thought I would feel this way. I just love her so much and I just cannot wait to meet her. She kicks all the time, literally like 24/7. She's kicking inside of me and I love it. Like, all I want to do is just sit all day and like feel her move around in me and talk to her. It is so sweet and it's just so different than I thought it would be, but it's so special. And I feel like one thing that's important to note about our story is just like how God has protected us this whole time. Obviously I haven't known I was pregnant, so we think I got pregnant around the middle of September and I did not know until, you know, the beginning of February. So that whole time, like, I was just kind of living my normal life, and I think there's just so many ways like God protected us and little Juniper. And because I do like drink alcohol, and luckily like the last several months I just like have not had a taste for it. I've barely drank like the whole time I was pregnant. I've barely drank just because I randomly like didn't have a taste for it anymore. And I just know that's like God protecting the baby. I live like a pretty healthy lifestyle, but I mean, I wasn't doing anything extra to take care of her. It's not like I was taking a prenatal vitamin or making sure to eat lots of fruits and veggies or anything like that. So I mean, God has just been protecting her this whole time, and the doctor said, I mean, she's perfect. She's right on track. She was in the 60th percentile for growth, so she's perfectly healthy and normal. And I just am so thankful for that, since I did not know that I needed to be taking care of her for so long. It just already shows me like a little bit of her personality, and I'm just like, you know, she's already just the most like independent, self-sufficient like little girl, like does not need any help from mom. I already love that about her so much. I just wanted to tell our story, be really honest about it, because it's just crazy, and I just believe that like we owe all the glory to God for this journey and for protecting us and for giving us this baby. I mean, we call her like our little miracle baby. Just weren't really expecting it right now, and definitely like a big surprise, but we're just so thankful, and we know that obviously God has big plans for her with how she has come into the world. We know that He has just got something really special for her and for us as parents. Obviously it was our time to be parents and her time to come into the world. I almost feel like I have more peace with this circumstance and how this has happened than I would if we would have had a baby like on our own terms, on our own time. I feel like I'd be way more of like a control freak about everything, and just because of how this has happened, I'm like, all right, like it's all worked out up until this point, and I just know it's all gonna work out, and I just have so much peace about it, which is amazing, and I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, that's our story. That's our story of our little June bug. So hopefully if you're watching this, you can share a little bit in our joy of our situation and our new baby we're bringing into the world. And also, if you're someone who maybe has a non-traditional pregnancy story watching this video, you feel encouraged, I hope. And just above all else, know that like God has a plan for you. He will work everything out just how it's supposed to. That's the biggest thing we've learned so far, and I just have to keep telling myself that every time we get overwhelmed. That's our story. That's our June bug. We're so excited. There's definitely more I want to share. William and I want to do a video together kind of talking about how we've been feeling about everything. I want to do like a little house tour as soon as I get her nursery. I'm actually sitting in the room that will be her nursery, so I'm really excited, but have not done anything to get ready for it yet. So definitely need to get working on that, but I'd love to do a little tour of that. I want to share more just about the remainder of my journey. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our story, and we'll see you next time.